Racist Karen demolishes elderly man's house. Karma hits back hard instantly. Before we start the story, comment down from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video. I'm Jamal, and I was sipping coffee when Karen's venomous voice cut through the morning. That old black man's house is a disgrace, she screamed into her phone, pointing at Mr. Thompson's home. My neighbor, my friend. Her eyes gleamed with hate, and I knew she wasn't just complaining. She was planning to destroy his life. What she didn't know. Her cruelty was about to unleash a firestorm of justice that would burn her world to the ground. Our street was a lively nook of the suburbs, where kids kicked soccer balls and neighbors swapped stories over fences. Mr. Thompson, 78, was its beating heart. His modest house, painted a weathered blue, stood as a monument to his life with his late wife, Clara. Each morning he'd tend her rose garden, his hands careful despite their wrinkles. "Jamal, you keeping those youngsters in line?" he'd call, his grin warm and wide. I'd laugh, feeling like he was my own grandfather. Karen, though, was a poison cloud. Her sleek mansion next door dwarfed his home, all cold glass and perfect lawns. She'd scowl at his cracked sidewalk, his faded shutters, muttering about property values. I'd heard her snap at a black couple for their music, at me for my truck's scratched bumper. But that phone call was different. Her voice carried a vicious edge, a promise of destruction. My gut screamed to act, but I froze, my coffee cooling in my hands, thinking it was just her usual venom. 7 days later, a deep rumble shook me awake. I stumbled outside, heart pounding, bare feet hitting the pavement. A bulldozer hulkied in front of Mr. Thompson's house, its tracks chewing up the grass. Workers in orange vests barked orders, their voices sharp. Mr. Thompson stood on his lawn, clutching a faded photo of Clara, his face pale as ash. "What's happening?" he whispered, voice trembling. A city official, a wiry man with a clipboard, shoved a paper at him. "Demolition order. Code violations," he said, eyes on his shoes. I pushed through the growing crowd of neighbors, my chest tight. "You can't do this," I shouted, voice raw. The official shrugged, barely glancing up. "Got a complaint? It's legal." My gaze snapped to Karen's porch. She stood there, chin high, a smirk twisting her lips. She'd orchestrated this, twisted the law to erase Mr. Thompson's life. Rage surged, but Mr. Thompson's trembling hand stopped me cold. He looked broken, his eyes hollow, and I swore I'd fight for him. The bulldozer lurched forward, its engine snarling. "No, please," Mr. Thompson begged, stepping toward it. A worker shoved him back, rough and careless. The first crash hit like a gunshot, beams snapped, the front wall buckled. Neighbors gasped, some sobbing, others whispering in shock. I yanked out my phone, hitting record, my hands shaking. The machine tore through Mr. Thompson's world. His worn armchair, Clara's chipped teapot, a shelf of her romance novels. Karen watched, her grin smug, her eyes gleaming with victory. I kept filming, my pulse hammering. This footage was our only weapon. By noon, the house was a pile of rubble, dust clouding the air. Mr. Thompson sank to his knees, the photo pressed to his chest, his shoulders shaking. I knelt beside him, my throat burning. "We'll make this right," I said, voice low but fierce. He didn't answer, his eyes locked on the wreckage, his spirit crushed. Karen's sharp cackle cut through the air as she sauntered back to her mansion, certain she'd won. She was dead wrong. That night, Mr. Thompson slept on my couch, his breathing uneven, the photo still in his hands. I couldn't rest, my mind racing like a storm. I uploaded the video online, my fingers flying over the keyboard. "Racist Karen destroys elderly black man's home." I tagged every news outlet, activist group, and local leader I could think of, my heart pounding with purpose. By morning it had 35,000 views, the numbers climbing fast. My phone buzzed nonstop, neighbors, strangers, a local reporter. "She's a monster," one text read. "This is sick," another said. The internet christened her Demolition Karen, and the outrage spread like wildfire. I dove into Karen's past, my laptop glowing in the dark. She wasn't just a complainer, she was a predator. She'd filed complaints against black families for loud parties, against a Latino couple for their messy garden, against an Asian family for their weird cooking smells. Mr. Thompson, a black veteran who'd earned a Purple Heart in Vietnam, was her latest target. Her racism was blatant, woven into every action, and now the world was waking up to it. A spark of hope flickered in my chest. This could be the key to her downfall. The next morning I stepped outside to a crowd. Neighbors lined the street, holding signs, "Justice for Mr. Thompson," and "Stop the Hate." Their faces were set, their voices loud. I grabbed a megaphone, my hand steady despite the nerves twisting my gut. "This isn't just about a house," I said, my voice carrying over the crowd. "It's about fighting back against hate, about protecting our own." Cheers erupted, shaking the ground. TV crews arrived, their cameras flashing, their microphones thrust forward. Karen peeked through her blinds, her smugness gone, replaced by a flicker of fear. For the first time she looked small. A woman in a sharp blazer pushed through the crowd. "I'm Ms. Rivera, a lawyer," she said, her eyes fierce. "Your video hit my desk. We can sue for wrongful demolition and racial discrimination." I led her to Mr. Thompson, who sat in my living room, the photo of Clara in his lap. He looked up, his eyes tired but hopeful. "I just want my home back," he whispered, voice barely audible. Ms. Rivera's jaw tightened, her gaze softening for a moment before turning steely. "We'll get more than that, sir. We'll get justice." Ms. Rivera moved like a force of nature. She dug up Karen's scheme, forged violation reports, a $7,500 bribe to a city official, emails dripping with venom. "His kind lowers our neighborhood's value," one read, the words burning into my mind. My stomach churned, but Ms. Rivera's grin was grim and confident. "This is airtight," she said, stacking papers. We filed a lawsuit and the news spread like a tidal wave. Protests grew, with hundreds marching past Karen's mansion, their chants echoing, "No more hate. Justice now." Her name was everywhere and it was poison. Karen's world started to crack. Her real estate business, built on her perfect image, bled clients overnight. Sponsors dropped her, their logos vanishing from her website. Her husband stormed out, suitcase in hand, after a shouting match that rattled her windows. I heard it from my porch, his voice sharp with disgust. Her social media accounts went dark, drowned in a flood of criticism. I watched her mansion grow quiet, its lights dim, her driveway empty. Karma wasn't just knocking, it was kicking down her door. But the fight wasn't over. I met with neighbors, our kitchen tables covered in notes and coffee mugs. We planned more rallies, drafted letters to the city, and shared Mr. Thompson's story. "He's one of us," said Mrs. Carter, a grandmother who lived down the street. "We can't let her win." Her words lit a fire in me. I visited Mr. Thompson daily, bringing him meals, sitting with him as he spoke of Clara. "She'd have fought too," he said once, his voice soft but sure. I nodded, feeling his strength fuel my own. The courtroom was a pressure cooker, the air thick with tension. Mr. Thompson took the stand, his hands steady despite his age. "That house was my life with Clara," he said, voice clear. "She stole it because I'm black." Jurors leaned forward, some wiping tears, their faces heavy with empathy. I testified next, my heart pounding as I played the video. The bulldozer's roar filled the room, the screen showing Mr. Thompson's home collapse in slow, agonizing detail. A juror gasped, her hand covering her mouth. Karen sat slumped, her eyes on the floor, her lawyer sweating through his suit. Ms. Rivera presented the evidence like a master painter. Forged documents, the official's signed confession, Karen's racist emails laid bare. The judge's voice was ice, cutting through the room. "This is an egregious abuse of power," he said, his glare fixed on Karen. Her lawyer stammered, claiming she was protecting the community's value, but the words sounded hollow, desperate. The jury didn't buy it. After 4 hours of deliberation they returned, guilty. Karen was ordered to pay $900,000 in damages, plus all legal fees. The city would rebuild Mr. Thompson's house, fully funded, with an apology to boot. I hugged him, my eyes burning with tears. "We won," I said, voice thick. He gripped my shoulder, his voice steady. "You led this fight, Jamal." The victory wasn't just for us, it was a spark that ignited something bigger. Neighbors gathered in my backyard, forming a council to fight discrimination across the city. Ms. Rivera took the lead, her voice sharp and inspiring. "This starts here," she said, "but it won't end here." The city passed new laws, requiring multiple reviews for demolition orders and penalties for false complaints. Our street became a symbol, a testament to what unity could do. News outlets dubbed it the Thompson Triumph, and I felt pride swell in my chest every time I heard the phrase. Karen's mansion went up for sale, its windows dark, its lawn overgrown. She fled, disgraced, reportedly living in a cramped apartment on the edge of town. Her name was a curse now, a warning to anyone who thought hate could win. I didn't care where she ended up. She'd lost her empire, her status, her everything, and that was justice enough. 11 months later, I stood on Mr. Thompson's new porch, the wood smooth under my feet. His house gleamed, its fresh blue paint catching the sunlight. Clara's roses bloomed in vibrant reds and pinks, their scent filling the air. Neighbors had rallied, donating furniture, planting shrubs, even gifting a new piano for Mr. Thompson to play Clara's favorite tunes. He held a glass of iced tea, his smile brighter than I'd seen in years. "You gave me my home," he said, voice warm. I shook my head, grinning. "We all fought for you, sir." Our street was different now, alive in a way it hadn't been before. Kids played louder, their laughter echoing. Neighbors lingered on porches, sharing stories, checking in. We weren't just a community, we were a family forged in the fire of Karen's hate. I thought back to that morning, her voice slicing through the air like a blade. She'd thought she could crush Mr. Thompson, erase his existence with one phone call. She hadn't counted on us, on me, on the neighbors, on the truth that refused to stay buried. The council grew, pulling in voices from other streets, other cities. We held town halls, shared strategies to spot and stop people like Karen. Ms. Rivera trained us to read city codes, to challenge bad policies. The city listened, passing reforms that spread to nearby towns. Mr. Thompson's loss had become a beacon, inspiring others to stand up. I started speaking at events, telling our story to packed rooms. "You showed us we can win," a young man told me once, his eyes bright. I nodded, thinking of Mr. Thompson's roses still thriving. Mr. Thompson came with me sometimes, his presence quiet but powerful. "This is for Clara," he'd say, and I'd feel the weight of his words. He'd play her favorite songs on the new piano, his fingers slow but sure, the notes carrying across the street. Neighbors would gather, listening, some swaying, others clapping. It wasn't just music, it was healing, a reminder of what we'd fought for. Karen's name faded, but her lesson lingered. She'd thought hate could triumph, that her wealth and influence could destroy a man like Mr. Thompson. She hadn't counted on a video, a community, a fight that refused to quit. I learned something too: silence is a choice, and I'd never choose it again. That morning I'd stood still, coffee in hand, letting her words pass. Never again. I'd speak, I'd act, I'd fight. Now as I sit with Mr. Thompson watching kids chase fireflies, I feel it: we're stronger. The roses sway, vibrant and alive, a testament to resilience. This street, this fight, this hope, it's ours and it's forever. Karen's cruelty lit a fire, but we built something unbreakable. A future where hate can't win, where justice rises, where community endures. Karma struck hard and true, and we're still standing.